What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and wow, Supergirl taking steps in the right direction. I love it. So happy to see this show that started off as something I was really worried about. I was worried if they were going to ever be any good. It's good. It's good now. It's gotten better over the past couple weeks, and this one really takes the cake, in my opinion. Um, Having Aunt Astra back is a good decision. I still hate the fact that we learned everything about her in the first couple episodes. Like we learned. Well, we didn't learn her whole plan, but we learned, what her ultimate goal is right now is to get Kara for whatever reason. We're not sure why. We know who she is. We know that she's the one behind it. She's the evil one. They didn't keep any mystery to it, so I was a little upset about that. But they did well here. They ended the last episode with Astra capturing Kara with these two henchmen. So it starts off there. She's actually got a little suit now that makes her invulnerable to kryptonite. I don't know if that's actually a thing in the Superman universe. If it is, I'll take this back, but that just seems a little too much for me. Like, oh yeah, let's just build something for everything. It just feels a little bit too coincidental that she was able to find out a way to null the kryptonite. But yeah, if that's a thing, okay. If it's not actually a thing, if this is something they invented for this show, come on, guys. Like that's a little too unrealistic. But that's just one of the few minor nitpicks I have in this episode. One of the great things, this whole love triangle, it really feels like it's come to an end. Wen is still acting a little bit off about what he saw, and I was really, really hoping it was because he was disappointed in Kara, because that's what he said at the end of the last episode. But then later on in this episode, Jimmy reveals, "Oh, it's because you like her and you want, I'm not in your." Anyway, but between Kara and Jimmy, things have cooled down now. She's not acting as goofy around him, and that whole thing only takes up maybe 3 minutes of this episode. That's good. I don't mind having it in there. I mind whenever it takes up the focus of the episode, and that's been my problem for not last week or the week before, but before that. It was all about that. It was all about those relationships, Jimmy and Lucy, and then Kara and Jimmy, and then Wen and Kara. All of those were just, it was taking up almost all the focus where they would cut away from the action to that. And I know I've talked about this before, but they didn't do that in this episode. It was so little of the relationship stuff that it was enjoyable. When I saw it, it was like, okay, it's a nice little break from everything else that's going on right now. But anyway, so that was just such a small part of it, so I just wanted to talk about it really quick. I wish they would have kept it that Wen was just disappointed that Kara was, still trying to get Jimmy whenever he had somebody else, and not have it be, oh, he's just jealous because he wants Kara for himself. But it does end on kind of a, Jimmy tells him, look, I'm not in your way. You need to tell her how you feel. And Wen kind of does talk about his feelings a little bit, that he feels like she's her and I'm me. There's nothing special about me. And Jimmy's just like, look, if I were you, I would risk it all for her. And so maybe they'll be in a relationship in the next couple episodes. Who knows? As long as it doesn't become the focus, we'll be okay. But anyway, other interesting story going on. Cat Grant gets hacked. A lot of her personal stuff gets put out on the internet. It gets published by a lot of people. At first I was like, this is kind of small potatoes. Like this. You think about what's the big main plot here. It's obviously Astra, what she's doing. But they don't really, that is a part of this episode. But the main focus seems to be on Cat Grant and what's going on there. That's the story for this episode. The stuff with Astra is like the main plot for the whole series. And so at first I was like, this is small potatoes. This is, she gets hacked and they're trying to figure out who did it. They're trying to help her see if she has anything that might might risk exposing to the world. I was like, I don't know if I. But as it went on, it was clever enough. It wasn't this intense story where she has to fight some bad guy, but it is something that gets dealt with. Um, and because it's Supergirl, and she does have relationships with these people, she has friendships. Cat Grant is her boss. All of this stuff going on, it does make a bit of sense why they would have an episode like this where Cat might lose her job, and so it's up to Kara. Kara, Kara is what, or no, Kira is what Cat called her. Almost called her that. But it's up to Kara and Jimmy and Wynn to work together to kind of help save her job, because without her, that loses some of the. I guess Supergirl would lose a mentor. Um, so it does make sense why they would have an episode like this, and they did it well. They end up finding out. Kara overhears the board member that's just this total slime ball talking in the elevator, super hearing. She hears him and finds out that he's the one responsible for the hack. So she, Wynn, and Jimmy work together to hack him back and get his emails. The way they do it is pretty clever. Kara uses her supervision to kind of tell Jimmy, where this guy is, while Wynn is the one that sets up the computer, and Jimmy is the one that put the hacking thing on the computer. And so it all works out. They do hack. Sorry, I'm tired. Might yawn a little bit. But they do end up hacking the guy and find, like, Wynn's going through all this stuff, and he's looking through all the emails, finally finds the smoking gun. Lucy helps out a little bit too. And Cat Grant's job gets saved, and the guy gets sacked. At first it was like, oh, you hacked me back, my lawyers will. And she's like, no, because your computer's owned by Cat Grant, and those emails were sent using a crack Cat Grant or Cat code, whatever. So technically we have the right to seize it. And so legal stuff, he's gone. So it was fairly well done. A lot of funny stuff, seeing Cat Grant kind of deal with all of this stuff that she's finding out that were in her emails that people may find out about, and she's just like, psh, so what? I spent so much money on this. I do that every week. So what? That I said something. I called Lois Lane or whatever. I called her worse than that to her face. If that's the best you've got, I'm okay. But we do find out that she has a son living elsewhere that she lost in a past divorce, and not just lost. Like, she had the chance to fight the husband for ownership of the son, but instead of fighting him, she quit and just let him have the son. And so there is a nice moment between her and Kara where she's like, I don't have the right to get to go talk to him after all this time. I don't get to do that. So still had these nice moments where we're learning a bit more about her, and her character is growing very well, to the point where I really do enjoy whenever she's there, whenever Kara's talking to her. So the other story that's going on is Astra. After the first initial fight, you see her talking to her lieutenant, and she's telling him, Kara will be out of the way for their whatever. And he's like, I thought you said you were going to kill her. Saying that, do you not have the ability to do this? Do you not have the ability to kill her? Or her mother doesn't deserve to have a daughter, or whatever. And so she is like calling Kara out. She's hovering above everything, and we get our first bit of actual action in this show. The action before now has kind of been really cheesy, and there were even moments in this one where it was really cheesy action. Like, I don't know, the way they move, it feels unnatural. I don't know if they just don't have the budget to make it look good, but there are times though where this does look good though. It looks better. It's not people standing around waiting for somebody to do something, and then somebody does do something. They are actually fighting in this. It's just some of the CGI looks really unnatural. And obviously, CGI, it's not real. But one of the things about CGI is that it's supposed to be there to make it look like it's real. And instead, it either looks rubbery or it looks so uncomfortable or just strange. Not human. Well, not obviously not human, but it doesn't look like it's actually there. Um, and so, maybe that will get better if they can get a bit more money. I don't know. But the fighting was better. Even when she was training with Alex before this fight, the fighting looked a lot better. They were actually fighting. It wasn't just swing, swing, dodge, throw. This is all choreographed. You can't tell though. It's like it was so obviously choreographed. This one was actually much better. Um, so bright side, dark side. So she ends up capturing Astra. She doesn't have the ability to kill her, which is another good thing they were touching on this one, where Alex was kind of like, look, you have to be willing to kill her. She's willing to kill you. You have to be ready to do that in whether it's in self-defense or whether it's to make sure she doesn't kill you or anybody else. And kind of an interesting topic because obviously one of the big problems with Man of Steel was that oh, he killed the main villain. He just killed him. He snapped his neck. And so, obviously they're very divided on that. Some people were like, oh, it's more realistic. That's what we want out of Superman. We want it to be real. He wouldn't be able to save all those innocent people. He would have had to kill that guy to save those people. Whatever your take is on it, I personally think that one of the main things about the DC heroes is that they were always very much about saving people. Batman never kills. Like that's his one thing. He never ever kills, and he tries to save. Like even in The Dark Knight, that movie was so dark, and yet one of the greatest scenes is at the end whenever one he's facing the Joker and all those people have the chance to blow each other up, but he believes in them and nobody dies. And then instead of letting the Joker fall to his death, he saves his life. That's Batman. Superman has always been about saving people. There was the one movie where the earthquake happens, people die. He reverses time to save these people. And, people... Obviously, that is kind of a stupid idea to reverse time by flying really fast around the world. But it's who Superman is. He saves people. Man of Steel really didn't capture that side of him. They only captured the, super powerful, flying around, punching people. That was the main focus of that movie. Supergirl, I feel, is a bit more grounded in heroism, in that she really does want to save everybody. Like even her evil aunt, who obviously has these evil plans, she even feels like she still deserves to live. And that is one of the big questions for superheroes. And even Marvel has kind of not done this idea very well, in that most of them have killed their villains at some point. I mean, Captain America has killed several Hydra soldiers. Iron Man killed his first villain and his second villain. Pepper Potts killed the third villain in the third movie. And so they don't really touch on that. They touch on saving innocents. I mean, I thought they did that very well in Age of Ultron, where all of these people might die, and they're just like, we're not leaving this rock until everybody is off of it. And it's just like, see, that's what heroes are supposed to do. But at the same time, they still have killed several people. Yeah, they're evil, but it's still kind of like they're still killing people. Like, even if they are evil, who says that you get to decide who lives and who doesn't? And even Daredevil doesn't kill anybody, even the bad guys. He doesn't kill them. He just beats them up. Jessica Jones, it kind of touched at the end how she killed. Crap. Spoilers. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't know why I do that without thinking spoilers. So spoilers, Jessica Jones, if you haven't seen it, skip ahead a little bit. She ends up killing Kilgrave at the end, and that kind of, it's kind of like a very touchy subject. It's like she killed him with her bare hands, and it kind of affects her a bit to where she's kind of, it feels like she's not really coping with it well. She's not picking up her phone at all. She's just sitting around drinking even more. So this is a good subject to touch on, especially because it's her aunt. That makes it even worse to think about killing. Um, and so anyway, just good. I thought it was a good moment. She ends up fighting Astra, captures her, brings her in, and they throw her into a cage. She only will talk to Kara. So Kara goes in, talks to her for a bit, and finds out that, whether this is true or not, her aunt tells her that her mother was just turning a blind eye to everything going on and used Kara to capture Astra. Like they showed a scene where Kara had called Astra on this little coded thing or whatever, and she was like, "Did you did you decide to call me, or did your mother make you call me?" And so, Kara's struggling with this, and Astra's just like, "Your mother was the one who was wrong," and it's kind of leaving that a mystery, and I like that. Finally some mystery. We don't really know who's right. We don't. Astra seems like she knew that the planet was about to be destroyed, and Kara's mother was acting like she was wrong. And obviously the planet did get destroyed, but is Astra telling the truth? We don't know. She might be completely evil. We'll see. But Kara leaves the room and goes instantly to the hologram room to talk to her mother. One of the most emotional scenes. I even teared up a little bit. She's just asking the hologram all these questions, and the hologram is like, "I'm not programmed to answer that question." She just, the music was swelling. It was emotional music, and finally she keeps yelling questions, and finally she just shoots the laser beams out of her eyes at the hologram and just screams. And Alex turns it off, grabs her, and she's just crying on Alex's shoulder. I'm just like, this is emotional stuff, man. They have not done this. They have not really touched on this type of emotion before. And now she's having to deal with it, and it was really, really, really well done. I was just like, this is what I was missing from Supergirl. I was missing that emotional connection. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be able to connect to these characters, and they finally gave me a scene where I could. So, very well done. Really like that scene. I hope that they keep giving us scenes like that. It's not just a one-time thing. Elsewhere, you find out that Astra did have a plan. Alex is looking at the tape and is seeing all these inconsistencies. It feels like that Astra was losing the fight on purpose, and I'm just like, is this gonna be one of those moments where she gets herself captured on purpose just to escape and do? Kind of. It wasn't the same stuff. You think about Joker in The Dark Knight, or whatever his name was in Skyfall, the James Bond movie. They get themselves captured on purpose, so that way they can get to something on the inside. It was kind of dumb. This case, she got herself captured as a distraction, so these other guys can, her minions and her lieutenant, can carry out the rest of the plan while everybody's focused on her. That's a smart twist on the idea. It's getting yourself captured on purpose, but it's not getting yourself captured to do something on the inside, hoping maybe you can escape. This is actually a well done twist on the idea. So these guys are attacking Maxwell Lord's company. He kind of shows up a little bit too cocky for his own good, but he does have this gun that shoots in this one guy's eyes. I'm guessing he's a Kryptonian. Shoots in his eyes, and it burns him. And he's just like, well, it works. And so, then they start, the bad guys start attacking him, and the DEO charges in. Meanwhile, before all this goes on, one of the most, I guess, I really was not expecting this. I kept talking about how lackadaisical they've been with Supergirl and her powers and how she uses them whenever she shouldn't, how she and Win or she and Jimmy will be talking about her superheroing so loud and there are people all around them. I'm just like, see, this is dumb. Like this is stupid. She would not be this stupid about this if she was trying to hide her identity. But it actually comes back to bite her because Cat Grant is figured it out. Like she's going through all this stuff, she's just like when she told Cat Grant about the board member and how she had figured it out, she's like, "Oh, I overheard him after the board meeting," and she's like, "I mean, I listened to you and what you said about." I'm just like, really, like you that was stupid. Like that was, and sure enough, Cat Grant didn't just completely ignore that because this is not a kids show. Um, she heard that and she's just like, wait a minute, that that doesn't make any sense. And so sure enough, she starts talking to her. And she's like, I really thought about what you said about overhearing what's his face after the board meeting. And there was no way you could have because you were standing right next to me and I didn't hear a thing. And then she starts going through all of this other stuff. Like during the earthquake, you got sick for the first time and you broke your arm, and then Supergirl returned and you had no more cold. And whenever Livewire attacked, you ran down the stairwell, and then a few seconds later, Supergirl came in and fought. And I'm just like, okay, so are they going to like do this stupid thing where she's just like, so you know Supergirl very well, don't you? You're her contact. But no, they don't. I was so happy when they didn't. And she's just like, take off your glasses, Kara. And Kara's just like, I can't see without them. And she's like, oh, I'm pretty sure you can. She said, take them off or I take it as confirmation. And she takes them off. She's like, well, I just want to say thank you for all you've done, Supergirl. And I'm just like, holy crap, where is this going? Where is this going? Because this is untouched territory. Like, they've been really, really, really frustratingly just complacent as far as the identities. Jimmy Olsen somehow knows Clark Kent is Superman, and as far as I know, like I did a little bit of research, in the comics, Jimmy didn't really know. He knew Superman, he knew Clark, but he didn't make the connection. If he did, it was like it was like one time in one comic series that happened. Because for the most part, from what I could tell, he didn't know. And in this, he does know. And then they had that one scene where he's just like, he's talking in that office space with Kara and Win right there, and he gives up Clark's identity with Win right there. And I'm just like, seriously? Like, this is just too much. Like, you're just saying, oh, secret identities? Who needs them? But in this case, it's it's hard to describe. Like, it's kind of their mistake, but it's almost like all the mistakes that Kara was making have now come back to bite her. Like, all those mistakes were actually on purpose so that Cat Grant would find out about it. And it's not like an identity reveal or she figured out the identity and it's just like, oh, she just, she slipped up. No, Cat Grant is a very smart person and she shows that because she finds out. And we don't really have any time to process this because Kara gets the call from Alex telling her that Astra's men are attacking Maxwell Lord's company. And so that's when we get the whole scene where they're walking through. Maxwell Lord shows up and he fights him. The DEO agents come in and start fighting. I wonder why they wasted so many resources here because a lot of them die. And this is the most death that's been in the show so far. Like, I think they may have had one. They had that one guy that the suicide bomber that Maxwell Lord blackmailed. They had him die at the end. But other than that, like, death has not really been touched on a whole lot in the show. In this episode, a lot of people die. Just mainly DEO agents. They have a couple new aliens that were actually pretty cool. This one guy was able to like duplicate himself. This one girl had like, she was very agile and very good what's it called, like, not really karate, but she was good at fighting, and then she was able to like breathe this green gas out of her mouth that killed a guy. And then obviously you have the Kryptonian lieutenant, and Alex is actually fighting this the girl and knocks her out. Oh yeah, and Hank. Obviously, we learned about his secret identity in the last one. He's fighting one guy. And the guy's like, "You don't fight like a human," and his eyes glow red. "Because I'm not," and rips his little protection thing off and just punches him across. He gets thrown across the ground. He grabs a gun and kills the guy. Um, and then that's when they show Alex. She's fighting the girl, knocks her out. The lieutenant sees that and like gets ready to shoot his lasers at her, and then Carr like flies in, slams him into the ground. They're like sliding across the ground. He's punching her, she's punching him. They're punching, and then they kind of separate, and they're both flying. And it was a little bit weird that things kind of stopped in that moment to focus on them. But maybe stuff was going on and it just wasn't enough movement, so it didn't catch my eye. But it felt like nothing else was moving but them. It's like, this is not realistic. But that's nitpick. Finally learned that this guy is actually Astra's husband, Non, I believe his name was. And so that's, they end on, she's like, "You're gonna wish that I had died with the rest of my family," and then they fly up, and then it ends cliffhanger style. So yeah, really good episode. Still some minor issues just with, like I said, just a couple of things that I mentioned, a couple nitpicks. The fighting is still a little bit off. That scene at the end, everybody stopped. It was like, come on, that's not realistic. But yeah, they're becoming minor and minor and minor nitpicks. Minor, if that's a word. But honestly, like the problems I have are just they're going away with each episode, to where it's actually becoming a very good show. It's not. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still not all the way there. As far as very good, I would say it's good right now. Where it started off kind of down here. A lot of really bad decisions, weird stuff going on, weird choices. And so I don't know, it was hard to get really invested in it because I couldn't connect to the characters. Everything going on was just so stupid and pointless, and it didn't feel natural. The whole love triangle going on it's always dumb. I'm sorry. Love triangles do not work out well, and they're kind of going away from that to where the relationships are second nature to the show. And so it's just they're making better choices as the season progresses. And obviously this is, I think, crap. I thought I had the right episode number in my mind, but now I'm questioning myself. It's either 7 or 8, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure it's 7 though. Anyway, but they're on either episode 7 or 8, and it's constantly it's been getting better. With every episode, things are getting better. There are certain issues that I have that are either fixed with the next episode or don't even occur in the next episode. So I like the fact that I don't know if they're learning from their mistakes or if they weren't sure how to start it very well, and so some of those mistakes were just because of that. But I mean, we really are getting more character growth from these people. We're getting more action. We're getting less stupid stuff. And even, like I said, the issue in this one, Cat Grant getting hacked, is not exactly a superhero issue, but it's still something very important to one of the main characters. And so it is something that Supergirl might have to deal with, as well as everything else going on. So I don't mind seeing her having to deal with maybe some day-to-day issues like that, just as long as it doesn't become too much. Anyway, but yeah, really enjoyed this episode. I hope that they do. I hope that this whole story doesn't end here. Like, it just feels like this Astra thing might be a one season thing, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I really am intrigued to see whether Astra's lying or whether she's telling the truth about Kara's mother. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. So, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.